Hi everybody and welcome back. This is a highly requested video. It's basically going to be about what is a dietitian, how do you become a dietitian, and what a day in a life of a dietitian is like, as well as what it's like studying to be one. So if you're interested in any of those, then carry on watching. So first up, what is a dietitian? And if you didn't already know, I am a UK registered dietitian. The role of a dietitian varies greatly, but the underlying role is always the same. So it's basically translating food science or nutrition science into practical take-home advice for people and patients. I personally specialise in the areas of obesity, diabetes, bariatric surgery and maternal obesity. So weight loss surgery, helping people to lose weight, and also helping people who want to lose weight who may have diabetes. I absolutely love my job. I qualified just over 6 years ago now, and I wouldn't change any of it. It's not all about dealing with people who are overweight though. The other side of it is you might be working in metabolics, so people who can't eat certain foods, people who are trying to gain weight because maybe they've got some sort of condition that means that they can't eat very well. It might be renal disease or pediatrics, or working in food allergies, or working on the wards, helping people to eat as best they can when they're not very well. The opportunities really are endless, and on top of working for the NHS and in a hospital, you can also work in private sectors, so maybe for supermarkets, helping to develop ranges, looking at food labels. So there really is a job for everybody in dietetics. If you're wondering how I became a dietitian or how you can become a dietitian, there are in England two main routes, and those routes are either an undergrad degree, which is typically between 3 and 4 years, or a postgraduate diploma, which is what I did, which is 2 years. So I did my undergraduate degree in sports science at Loughborough, and mainly because when I was 18 I didn't know what I wanted to do for a job, but I knew that I was passionate about understanding how the body works. I was into fitness and health, so I did sports science, and in my second year I went to see a careers advisor, and I said to her that I was really interested in nutrition and the power of food, because that was when I really got into trying to improve my skin and things like that. I went to shadow a dietitian, well a few dietitians actually, and I just loved the fact that they were speaking to people about how to eat healthier. So I then did my 2-year postgrad at Leeds, but lots of people who are now qualifying and students who I helped train are indeed doing the undergrad, basically because when they were 18 they knew what they wanted to do. My biggest piece of advice is get some shadowing work, so try and shadow, or I know that lots of hospitals put on half a day or day events all about what a day in the life of a dietitian is like. My personal role, I think I'm really lucky because my role is really varied. I run things like weight loss groups, run weight loss clinics, do bariatric clinics. I work with diabetes nurses, delivering diabetes education, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love the job so much, because it's so varied. Other people might be working on the wards, doing general clinic, and then delivering things like pulmonary rehab talks or cardiac talks, so talks for people who maybe have health problems with their heart or with their lungs. The actual course, so studying to be a dietitian, I found my undergrad, the sports science degree, fairly easy. I was really passionate about it and I really loved it. And although I was passionate about being a dietitian, I found the course a little bit more challenging. So there's 3 placements when you're studying to be a dietitian: placement A, B and C. So A is mainly about shadowing, it's about understanding what a dietitian does, and then placement B is a bit more like getting involved, and you go from basically not doing any clinics by yourself to basically trying to run full clinics by yourself. And then placement C is about honing in and developing your communication skills, developing your knowledge. B was my toughest placement. At one point I was actually going to drop out, and I always like to tell students this because if they think that the placement's tough, I want to know that I've gone through it as well. The only thing that kept me in there was the fact that I was at the same time working for a company called More Life, so Kiddies Weight Management Camp, and the guy who was running it said that he would really like to employ a dietitian in the future, and I thought, right, I've got to stick with it, I've got to get my qualification. So that was placement B, which was in the hospitals. Placement C was actually in the community, and I just seemed to enjoy it an awful lot more. I know lots of dietitians though who hate working in clinics in the community and who just love ward work. So that just goes to show that there are lots of different dietitians with lots of different passions, but they still work with people and they're still talking about food every single day. So something to mention is that if you are thinking about going onto the dietetic course, they can be quite selective because they are quite popular. So my advice is to try and get the best grades possible. I managed to get a first in my undergrad degree, and I know that that was one way of whittling out people. So basically if you were on for a first class degree, you would get first dibs at the roles, and then if you had a 2-1, they would basically put you on a waiting list or say you'd have a chance at coming on next year. If you're going on to the undergrad, then make sure that you're aiming for A's in things like biology, food technology. You need to show that you're passionate about food and you've got a passion for working for people. There's definitely two sides of my job. The first is indeed the nutrition knowledge and translating it into practical advice, but the second is behaviour skills. So dietitians undergo a lot of training in how to run clinics and what words to use. A silly example is, for example, never use the word but, because but immediately it challenges the other person and it says to the other person, like, you're wrong. So there's different ways of speaking, basically to enable a more effective consultation, and that's something that I'm personally really passionate about, working in the area that I do, so obesity and bariatric surgery. So I really hope that you found this video useful. I love what I do. I love being a dietitian. I love training dietetic students. If you've got any questions about advice or tips, then please leave them in the comments bar below, and I look forward to seeing you next week.